Alright, so this is a suggestion via a donation. The name of the video is what they captured in the Mariana Trench. Shocked the whole world. Let's check it out.
I don't think everyone realizes how big and scary the ocean is. For instance, the Mariana Trench is...
Oh, guys, I have officially learned. Casual geographics is definitely helping me understand that the ocean is a place that I kind of never want to be. I never want to swim in the water. I never want to be underneath the water. I want to stay away from jellyfish. Apparently, platypus. No, platypus aren't in. Are platypus? Guys, I am very animal dumb, let's say. But let's continue.
Known to be the deepest location on Earth and has a depth of about 36,201 feet. For comparison, Mount Everest, the highest mountain on our planet, is only about 29,000 feet tall. Now imagine...
Is it the highest mountain or the highest point?
Highest mountain on our planet is only about 29,000 feet tall. Now imagine the entirety of Mount Everest can be submerged at the bottom of the ocean floor, and its summit still wouldn't reach shallow waters.
Yeah,
forget about the horrors of outer space, because our planet's oceans are just as terrifying. Sunlight in the ocean can only travel to a maximum depth of about 3,200 feet. Down in the twilight zone, it's dark, food is scarce, and the pressure is immense. Just imagine what type of monsters lurk in this part of the ocean. Let's go through some of the most terrifying creatures in the deepest part of the sea. From the predatory tunicate to the pelican eel, here are 15 scary Mariana Trench creatures that you've never seen before.
Let's go. I'm here for it.
Number 15. Predatory Tunicate. Meet the underwater Venus flytrap, the predatory tunicate. If you've ever seen a Venus flytrap catching an insect before, it wouldn't be hard for you to imagine how predatory tunicates catch their meal. These creatures live anchored along the canyon walls and seafloor in the deep ocean and prey on zooplankton and other tiny animals. Luckily, unlike most of the creatures that live in the deep sea, predatory tunicates only grow up to 5 inches across, which means they're limited to preying on small marine creatures and nothing else.
No threat to me.
Watching them eat their prey is amazing and terrifying at the same time. They just...
I mean, well, I guess if we would actually see one of them, it would be a massive threat because we'd probably be, crumbling into a ball with the amount of pressure.
Wait there with their mouth-like hoods open and immediately snap them shut when a poor animal drifts inside. Just imagine how terrifying it would be if these creatures grow a lot bigger. Another weird thing about them is that they're simultaneous hermaphrodites, which means they can produce both eggs and sperm. Finding a mate isn't exactly easy when you spend the majority of your life anchored on the seafloor. This physical adaptation helps them to reproduce in poor conditions, or when there are no other tunicates nearby. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click. Sea cucumbers are echinoderms closely related to starfish and sea urchins. There are some 1,200 species of them around the world, and the headless chicken monster is the strangest among them. There's a reason why this particular species got its bizarre name. If you observe one of these sea cucumbers while swimming, you'll see that it kinda resembles a headless chicken because of its wing-like fins. I think they look like raw chickens just before you pop them into the oven. But don't get me wrong, despite their comical name...
Bro, if your chicken looks like that raw, you have a problem, okay? I don't see that. I don't get the correlation. But it does look like a chicken without a head, guys. It definitely does.
Just before you pop them into the oven. But don't get me wrong, despite their comical names, they're seen as amazing sea creatures. In fact, their superhero-like capes that open as they sail through waters earn them a much less embarrassing nickname, the Spanish Dancer. Sea cucumbers only feed on tiny particles like algae and small aquatic animals, so the shock factor of the headless chicken monster relies on their freaky appearance alone. These creatures are unique among other sea cucumbers. They don't have the ability to swim upwards. Instead, most of them move around by riding the current. So far, the astonishing creatures have only been spotted several times around the world. We still have a lot more to discover about them, and hopefully we'll get to see more of them in the wild soon. Number 13. Sea Lamprey. There are creatures out there that will make you realize that nature really is brutal. Introducing the sea lamprey, also known as the vampire fish. This eel-like creature doesn't have jaws or other bony structures. Instead, it has a skeleton made of cartilage, which makes this creature unique from other fish. Its weird body isn't really the most terrifying thing about it. Its sucker-like mouth is the product of nightmares. Just take a look at that. And the way this creature eats is equally terrifying. Sea lampreys hunt by draining their prey of blood. First, they attach themselves to their prey by using their suction cup mouth. After that, they'll use their teeth to drill into the flesh of their poor victim. Slowly, the sea lamprey will cut through the fish's scales and drive itself further into its prey's body by using its sharp tongue. Once the lamprey is securely inside the prey's body, they'll secrete an enzyme that prevents blood from clotting and drink the blood of their poor host like a leech. Lampreys can be found in the deep sea, but they're also known to be anadromous, which means they can migrate up to rivers from the sea to spawn. This has caused a problem for a lot of fishermen. In fact, ever since sea lampreys made their way into the Great Lakes, they've been recognized as a parasite and an invasive species that decimate the population of native fish in the fresh water they invade. To this day, lampreys are still considered public enemy number 1 for many fishermen, because one of them can easily kill about 40 pounds of fish every year. Number 12. Telescope octopus. The telescope octopus is a strange-looking deep-sea animal that lives at depths between 500 and 6,500 feet. They can be found in several regions of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. These elusive creatures have only been seen a few times, and to this day, they're still shrouded with mystery. Just like the see-through glass octopus, the telescope octopus is completely invisible because of their transparent and gelatinous flesh. This means that even if a sliver of light passes through them, their bodies won't produce a shadow. This physical trait helps these creatures that only grow up to 8 inches long to escape any predators lurking in the abyss. The only non-transparent part of their bodies is their digestive gland and their incredibly strange telescope-looking eyes. Through their elongated tubular eyes that pop out of their heads, they get a wide peripheral vision, which enables them to see both prey and predators. For now, we have limited knowledge of this rare species, and because of their size and their habitat, it may take us years before we can know more about them. Number 11. Vampire squid. The vampire squid is a deep-sea creature that's only about 12 inches long. If it's just the size we're talking about, the vampire squid is no monster. However, its appearance is enough to freak anyone out. Initially mistaken as an octopus because of its arms and lack of tentacles, the vampire squid found itself as a weird combination of a squid and octopus. These guys possess the biggest eyes in proportion to their bodies in the animal kingdom. They also have one of the most menacing cloaks that hide sharp spikes underneath. I guess the vampire squid isn't called the squid of hell for nothing. They might not be bloodsuckers just like their namesake, but the vampire squid might as well be immortal, as they're living relics of an ancient species of octopus that goes back 165 million years in the fossil record. Number 10. Anglerfish. I don't think I can ever stress enough why the anglerfish is one of the most terrifying creatures in the ocean. In fact, people who have seen these creatures washed up on the shore don't want to learn anything about them due to their hideous appearance. For one, they look like creatures that came straight out of a nightmare, with their black beady eyes and their gnarly teeth. The most horrifying thing about the anglerfish isn't their appearance, but their eating and mating habits. These creatures are one of the many that take advantage of their bioluminescence to catch their prey. Just like an angler, they use the lure attached to their heads to fish in the abyss. Once prey gets close to them, they can extend their mouths twice their original size to accommodate large prey. And their horrific appetite is just the beginning. The big anglerfish that you see are female ones. They're capable of catching larger prey, and they look far more intimidating. Meanwhile, the male ones are considered parasites. Male anglerfish are notably smaller than females, and they spend their lives constantly searching for a mate. Once they do, they'll attach themselves to the female anglerfish until they fuse together, and only the male's reproductive organs remain. What's more, a single female anglerfish can carry up to 6 males on and in her body. Number 9. Dumbo octopus. Let's take a break from the horrifying deep-sea creatures and just bask in the cuteness of the Dumbo octopus. In fact, these creatures are so adorable that even...
I think it's the wording for me personally. It's the wording. All right, it's the wording. But
researchers can't help but coo at their cuteness. They live at extreme depths of up to 13,000 feet where they use their ear-like flaps to swim and move around. And trust me, watching these creatures propel themselves using their Dumbo ear-like flaps is incredibly endearing. However, not all of them are lovely to look at, with some looking a little more creepy than the others. Number 8. Deep-sea dragonfish. With its name, you must be thinking of a cute dragon-like sea creature. And I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but the deep-sea dragonfish is nothing like the fictional dragons we know. These creatures have incredibly hideous faces with blank eyes and jagged needle-like teeth. But there's still a reason why they're named dragons.
I want nothing to do
These
with this
fish are
animal,
the
bro.
only ones that can generate and see red light. Most creatures in the ocean generate blue light because it can penetrate further into the water. However, having a red light means that deep-sea dragonfish can see other fish while remaining unseen. Deep in the water at depths of greater than 600 feet, these creatures can remain invisible while using their unique light-detecting ability to snag their prey.
Okay, firstly, tell me how large it is.
I would say they look pretty cool with it.
Like, I mean, if it's like this small, or it looks small at least, right? I think it's fine to continue existing.
Their bioluminescence,
Not
as
by
long
me,
as you
though.
don't fish them out of the water. Number 7. Bobbit Worm. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Have you ever heard the irrational fear that something will grab onto your foot and pull you deep into the water while swimming in the middle of the ocean? If
Yes.
your answer is yes, then get ready to relive that fear, because I'm about to tell you how the bobbit worm hunts its food. I'm telling you, the bobbit worm is one of the most brutal deep-sea creatures. At first glance, the bobbit worm doesn't really look that scary. I mean, it has rainbows on its body, and as long as you ignore its bug-like appearance, they look pretty okay. But don't be fooled. Eunice Aphrodite, or the bobbit worm, is an extremely dangerous creature that digs itself into the seafloor, only exposing a few inches of its body to ambush prey. It uses its 5 antennae to sense any living creature passing by. Once it does, it will snap its mouth shut around the poor creature.
All right, so I'm basically guessing that most of these animals are blind, which I guess I kind of understand. I mean, for what reason would you need eyes in a place where there's no sunlight? Unless they're obviously seeing on some type of different spectrum, which I'm sure some of the other animals here are. It's mainly that squid that has the largest eyes ever, type of thing, right? I'm pretty sure that they're probably not seeing in the same color space.
Which might also snap the
As
prey
we're-
in half. But that's not the end of it. After getting chomped by its strong muscled mouth, the bobbit worm will pull its prey down into its burrow. The most horrifying part? The body of this sea creature can grow up to a terrifying 10 feet long. These guys will show no mercy to almost any creature it manages to snag.
What can it do to us?
Number
though?
6.
Probably
The
nothing,
Fangtooth.
right?
Living in the ocean depths between 1,600 and 6,500 feet is the terrifying Fangtooth fish. These small creatures don't compare to the giants that roam in the Mariana Trench, but their teeth-to-body size proportion is insane. How do you think it got its name? The fangtooth fish has long needle-like teeth and an underbite to complete their wicked appearance. This fish will remind you of the equally menacing piranhas.
I'm guessing it's the pressure also that's probably making like a lot of these fish look like this, right? Because the fish that we normally see look nothing like these things, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my money on that actually. That a lot of these animals look so horrifying. Firstly, because it's dark, no one else sees them, so it's fine, right? And it's the pressure kind of like compressing them into just nastiness.
In the Amazon. Just like the tiny freshwater carnivorous fish, fangtooth fish are also highly mobile creatures that feed on small marine animals like shrimp and squid. Unlike most creatures in the deep sea that patiently wait to ambush their prey, fangtooth fish are born ready, and instead of waiting, they actively seek out their food. Their large heads and their needle teeth allow them to kill and swallow their entire prey in one fell swoop. They can even eat fish that's 1/3 their size. Once again, we're lucky that voracious sea creatures just like the fangtooth don't get as big as a shark. Just imagine if these small fish grew up to 8 feet or more and adapted to shallow waters.
I don't.
They will
imagine.
surely rule the ocean.
What you mean?
Number 5. Frilled Shark. Known as a living fossil, the frilled shark is the closest prehistoric creature that lives to this day. These sharks have been around for some 80 million years already, which means they've been on Earth at the same time as the mighty dinosaurs. This creature got its name because of the row of 6 red-lined gills that look like frills on its side. I would say that this creature is less terrifying than great whites as long as they don't open their mouths. Once they do, you'll probably get nightmares from their terrifying set of teeth. Just like the great whites, frilled sharks have 300 teeth, but great whites are a bit more intimidating. Usually, frilled sharks stay more than 2,000 feet below the surface, so we rarely get to see them. In fact, we've only known about their existence in the 19th century when a specimen was captured in Tokyo Bay and was studied by a German ichthyologist. Ever since, we've only seen a few specimens of these creatures so far, and to this day we still know little about them. And now it's time for today's topic. What they captured in Mariana Trench shocked the whole world. Before we managed to send underwater ROVs or submersible robots into the Mariana Trench,
You waited 13 minutes to start the topic.
people
I forgot what we were watching for a
have
second.
been reporting strange occurrences around the area. The creatures lurking in the depths of the trench have repeatedly frightened many, including researchers. According to deep-sea fishermen that travel in the Pacific, there have been many strange sightings around the Mariana Trench. Some fishermen claim that they've seen a strange red glow underwater, and it frightened many of them so much that they decided to leave the area for another fishing location. There are also reports when these lights become more intense as they drew closer to the fishing boats. And out of the blue, it dimmed down as if whatever creature produced the light descended back into the abyss. So far, scientists have been unable to explain this strange phenomena, but there are some theories. When one underwater remote-operated vehicle descended into the abyss, it captured something pretty terrifying. It captured what seems to be a huge monster, the mythical god Cthulhu. Some claim that the photo is fake, but with all the reports of strange sounds and signals from the ocean, I wouldn't be surprised if such a monster really resides in our ocean. What do you think?
No, that's what I think. I'm just going to tell you this right now. I don't think that very specific thing. We obviously don't know, like, what is in our ocean fully, right? Like, we know more about outer space than our oceans, right? I get that. But do I think that there's Cthulhu in the Mariana Trench, guys? I don't know. No, I don't think that. I just personally don't think that. I can't even give you like a theory that would make sense regarding that very specific thing. I mean, it could be that there are like aliens underneath the ocean. Sure, right? That could be that, maybe. But how he's depicting it, guys, no.
As always, comment down below with the hashtag today's topic and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving.
Because he mentioned, oh, someone took a photo. Where's the photo? You're showing me a drawing that's been created by AI, most likely.
Number 4. Giant Squid. One of the reasons that I have no trouble believing there are actual monsters living in the abyss is because of the existence of giant squid. I would say that these creatures are more terrifying than the others. Who wouldn't be afraid of a creature that has eyes the size of a basketball? This squid ain't your ordinary catch. The largest known squid is named Archachuthus dux. Despite being a massive creature that can grow up to a staggering 46 feet in length, this big guy can be really camera shy. For reference, just imagine a squid the size of a semi-trailer truck. You'd think that such an enormous creature would have no problem taking on any foreign object they see in their territory. But surprisingly, they seem to always evade underwater ROVs that try to capture photos of them. So far, we've only seen several of them a few times. After all, they live in the deepest part of the ocean, with depths greater than 2,000 feet. Some scientists claim that there are other giant squid out there that are as tall as a 4-story building, but so far we have no evidence that they truly exist. Suddenly, all the legends about the enormous kraken make sense. What if the stories of a giant tentacle creature destroying ships and killing sailors in the 18th century actually feature a giant squid? The horror. Number 3.
That's plausible. I can only imagine, though. I mean, think about this here for a second. I'm sure if jellyfish were able to survive down there, they'd probably also be massive. Again, there are no like bones in these animals, guys. Like pressure may do the opposite thing.
Bone-eating worms. Have you ever wondered what happens to the skeletal remains of dead giant sea creatures? What happens when a giant whale dies? Whenever one of these marine mammals perish, its carcass usually falls down onto the ocean floor and reaches depths greater than 3,300 feet.
Right.
There in the abyss, the body will slowly decompose and provide food for an entire ecosystem of scary deep-sea creatures. These worms are one of them, known as bone devourers or zombie worms. These species of osedax are the ones that feast on whale skeletons that lie nearly 9,000 feet underwater. There have been times when a huge group of these plant-like creatures was spotted devouring a skeleton. And trust me, seeing them up close isn't a pretty sight. Since these worms are tiny and they resemble underwater plants, researchers found a way to easily find them. Lure them with their favorite meal. To study these worms, scientists lower down pieces of animal bones from pigs, turkeys, and cows, and wait for a few months to check a whole lot of osedacs eating away the bones. They're not really menacing to look at, unless you know that they feed off of decaying matter. And if you're into diving, you just might be happy to know that you can spot these guys in relatively shallow waters too, with a minimum depth of 30 feet. Who knows? You might have even already encountered them while diving.
Yeah.
Number 2, deep-sea hatchetfish. The deep-sea hatchetfish looks like it's experienced all of the bad things in life. It's a deep-sea fish that lives in depths between 650 and 3,000 feet. These creatures are deep-bodied and flattened from side to side. They resemble the shape of a hatchet, which earned them their name. They're often confused with their shallow-living kin, freshwater hatchetfish. But these guys are more ghastly. With their strange bodies and creepy teeth and eyes, the hatchetfish is among the small creatures in the deep sea that is capable of bioluminescence. They have organs known as photophores along their bodies, which produce light through a chemical reaction. Just think about these guys as underwater fireflies. Their bioluminescence, along with their large, sensitive tubular eyes that point upward, make them incredibly efficient in searching for food, which includes crustaceans and tiny fish. Number 1. Pelican Eel. I'm telling you, the pelican eel is one of the most terrifying creatures in the ocean, and they possess one of the strangest anatomies in the animal kingdom. They look like a strange mix of a plant, a serpent, and a bird. Their heads and mouths are incredibly huge compared to their thin whip-like bodies, which make them look like horrifying monsters. This fish's most notable feature is its huge pouch-like lower jaw that resembles that of a pelican. The appetite of the pelican eel suits its massive mouth. This voracious eater uses the light at the tip of its tail to lure in prey close to its mouth. Once a fish comes a little bit too close, it will lunge at the poor fish and snap its gigantic mouth shut. This creature can grow between 3 to 6 feet, and so their prey is limited to small and middle-sized sea creatures. But if they happen to snag large prey, their stomachs are built to stretch to accommodate bigger food. Because of their huge appetites, they're also known as gulper eels. This creature would scare a lot of people if they lived in shallower waters. Thankfully, these creatures live at depths between 500 and 6,000 feet, so there's no chance that you'll encounter them while swimming in the ocean. These creatures are really terrifying, but with the size and depth of the ocean, it's possible that we haven't even discovered the weirdest creature of them all. Who knows? Perhaps a creature as vicious as the megalodon exists down there, or even a colossal squid. Now ain't that scary? Before you go,
I mean, absolutely. Again, guys, yeah, we have not discovered everything. Like, probably not even 2 to 10% of everything that's in the ocean. So I can only imagine what's there. I'm sure as time progresses, there'll be more interesting animals being found, right? Or sea creatures, let's call them, guys. I would say probably in 100 years, we're going to know so much more, right? You and I won't be here, but you understand what I'm saying, guys. We're going to learn so much more, and I definitely cannot wait to follow along with this, because this is such like an interesting topic we've been like working on the channel lately, guys. Instead of like being suggested stuff that I kind of already know, right, in terms of like history mainly, guys, I spent my entire life basically studying history. I'm not gonna say it's boring, right? But this, I don't know any of this, so it's like super intriguing to me, guys. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day, and definitely let me know the next subject we should be checking out, guys. All right, enjoy your day.